Everyone, this is for discussion board 2 for groups. Um, it was funny that this came up this week because the counselor that I'm currently working with, we had both noticed some things with some of the behavior issues we've seen already just in the first few days of school. We have seen a common issue among a group of the kids, and that is that they have a lot of them are having a difficult time expressing expressing their emotions with appropriate reactions within the classroom, but also even just conveying their emotions to adults. They may say, "I'm bored," or "This, I'm sad," or "I'm angry." But when you actually ask them what that means, they're having a difficult time explaining or understanding what that means and what's the appropriate reaction when they feel that emotion. So that's a group that we had actually already talked about starting up. So in that, we have already identified that as a need, but we also want to address it with our teachers at our school. So we're going to put some feelers out and see what they think, see if they have any other students that are having that same issue or a similar issue that we may be able to help with. So we're kind of going to go from there. I know this is like a hypothetical thing, but this is actually real life for me this week. So I may say we, and we're going to because we actually are. It's really cool. So having said that, for the first step, we're kind of, like I said, assessing the needs and putting feelers out there. And we've actually started doing that. So we're already kind of in step 1. For the second step that we read about addressing the myths and misconceptions with our students, obviously there's myths and misconceptions about the emotions, but as far as myths and misconceptions go about counseling, the younger kids that we're working with don't really have a whole lot of myths or misconceptions about it so far, but I have a strong feeling when we actually talk with the parents that they may have some myths or misconceptions. So I feel like in the elementary level, that issue comes up more with the parents than with the students. That can be passed down to the students, but from what we've seen so far with the population that we're working with, that hasn't seemed to be an issue. Um, if it does, it may turn into maybe a family counseling type situation where we have the parent and the child to begin with, and kind of talk with both of them about what we're going to do, make them both feel comfortable. That's something we had talked about, so we'll see how that goes. The third step of conveying the information, expressing the confidentiality, that's definitely a must, and kind of setting up the framework of the group, explaining what's going to happen, what's going on. I know a lot of students will benefit from that, knowing what's going on and what's happening, knowing that expectation, having that set routine. So I feel like that would be really important for us to do too, is make it clear to the students that we're working with and the teachers that are involved what the expectations are, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, and having those conversations with both of them. And then the fourth step for screening, that's the one thing that I'll definitely want I'll want some help with that to begin with, because I would have a hard time turning a child away, but at the same time I know there are a lot of children that would benefit more from individual counseling and may not be as willing to share in a group. So we would have to be really careful when we're looking at that, and watching for the physical cues that we're getting from the students and the maybe nonverbal feedback that we can see, or maybe even verbal. Some kids might even say that they are not comfortable with that. There may be also, I say, family conflicts, or relational conflicts between the students, age conflicts. We would have to really study the members of the, or possible members of the group, and see what would work best, and make all the students successful. So right now, we're actually in the first stage, so I can't wait to see what happens with that and how we're able to actually live out these 4 steps that we're learning about. And it was just really cool that this discussion board fell during this week, and we happened to actually already be discussing what our first group is going to be.